season. I don't feel like editing out the boring parts, so here's your Love is Blind recap from the pods to the move-in day. We have 5 couples moving past the pods to the honeymoon of their dreams, while fans dream of the days when the show didn't drag us through 6 episodes of the pods. It's been one of the slowest seasons in history, so if you're wanting a quick recap, I'm glad you're here. Let's start with our triangles. This one is technically a quadruple. So, we've got Meg and Mason, and even though they seem to have a great connection and are pretty well matched, Mason takes foot and inserts in mouth by committing to Madison without breaking up with Meg. Now call me crazy, but when you're dating 16 people at once, I think it's fine to have multiple connections. Just maybe don't tell them things like, I love you and I'm committed to you. You know they're going to compare notes. Speaking of, Madison fills Megan on everything Mason had to say to her in the pods, and it definitely seemed more out of chaos than concerned. I just want to say I nailed it calling her the female villain of the pods. Maybe she's not as villainous as others in past seasons, but she is all about that drama. You can find out more about that on my Love is Blind fantasy draft board on Instagram and TikTok at LovePod Podcast, and make your own if you want to play along. But I cannot, for the life of me, I just can't imagine a scenario where you get me to be so open about my sex life for the world to see. You could not waterboard the things that Madison was saying out of me. And then just to head into another date to try and convince the other guy, Alex, that he was her man, and then get mad at Mason for doing essentially the same thing to her. Please make it make sense. All of that, 5.5 episodes in, for Meg, Mason, Madison, and Alex to leave the pod single. Alex just couldn't get over Madison's emotional roller coaster ride, and Madison was pretty hurt that Alex tried to remain neutral about Mason. Girl, just because you guys are possibly, sort of, not really together, doesn't mean you get an automatic pass and he should have to side with you. 2 wrongs do not make a right, and 2 wrongs do not make an Alex engagement. Next, we have Devin, Virginia, Brittany, and boop, 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 Mo. Yep, if you didn't know that, there was another quadruple there. So first, 2 couples got together that didn't get airtime. The first being Brittany and Mo. So they got engaged. Brittany was part of the Devin, Virginia love triangle. And we saw not one hint of her dates with Mo. So we have 100 episodes of the Madison show, ended in a ball of flames, but Brittany's story was cut short. That's pretty lame, but it could be because Brittany and Mo allegedly ended things shortly after the reveal. Only they know for sure, of course. But regardless, it would have been nice to see an actual love story play out that ended in an engagement, even if it turns out to be a dumpster fire. I mean, Brittany and Devin ended things after she shared she was bisexual. Devin really didn't seem accepting of that without directly saying he wasn't accepting of that. Being a little problematic the men this season. And then Brittany was completely open to dating someone with an ibuprofen addiction, which the story we had to hear twice. What happened to editing back and forth so we only have to hear it once? I don't know what's going on this season, but it is driving me crazy how slow it's going. So anyway, the allegations with Mo are maybe he was problematic. Devin seemed problematic about her history. It's just a big mess, and I hope that she either found love or is single now. Another couple that didn't get airtime are Kylie and Brian. You might remember Kylie because of her outfit, half tube top, half business on the left, party on the right, I guess. I don't know. A memorable choice, I'll say. Definitely more memorable than some of the other outfits we've seen. And I don't know if you knew this, but production has to improve those outfits. So somebody told her that that was a great choice. And I'm sure she stands by it. And what she's also standing by is her relationship with bar owner Brian, who is also in the pods. Now, we don't know the status of the relationship other than that they're together, but I cannot wait to hear more because they keep tagging me in their posts, which I absolutely love and appreciate. And I just want to know the deal. Did they get engaged? Are they dating? Are they married? What's up with that? But anyway, back to Devin. So I really did not think him and Virginia were going to get together. They seem kind of like an odd personality pairing. I mean, they're getting along well on vacation, but it's so boring, which is probably great for the beginning of the relationship if they don't have too much of a roller coaster ride. But, I mean, if anybody says that they don't watch these shows for drama, you are mother effing lying, okay? I know we don't all just expect 5 happy endings with no turmoil and no drama. And I know there's going to be something coming with Devin and Virginia about a prenup. I don't know exactly what it is. But that's another thing. Prenups are a great idea, no matter what. I don't know why so many people are against them. You can make them fair and equitable. And you are marrying a stranger in a month. And obviously these background checks aren't too thorough on Netflix's end. I mean, come on, 8 seasons in, let's look at the problematic history of Love is Blind. I'm still going to watch, but okay, I would never go on the show in the first place. But if I did, you can bet I'm walking into those pods with a prenup from a lawyer and probably a bunch of other documents. I don't know, but please, prenup, everyone. That is my one tip to you. So Devin gives her that really cute cutting board. It's engraved so that they can cook together. But then their reveal was really awkward. There were some body language symbols. Maybe Brittany was uncomfortable or not super attracted to Devin. It could just be nerves, but I mean, if your every move's being followed by a camera crew, who knows? Maybe she just felt awkward. I can only imagine what it's like having to meet essentially your spouse, or who's supposed to be your spouse, with dozens of people around and cameras. No matter how you get used to it in the pods, it's just a different scenario when you're with another person. Now let's move on to Lauren and Dave. First of all, ew, David. From your pod introduction, you haven't been the most endearing cast member. I mean, the jokes about the women, I get you were just being sarcastic. They really didn't hit like you thought they would. And regardless, you managed to get both Molly and Lauren interested in you, which they seem like polar opposites too, personality-wise, and I mean looks. So he can't see what they look like, but I just found it very interesting that he went for more of like a free-spirited kind of go with the flow type in Molly, and then Lauren obviously has her fun moments, and she's very she's just different. I would say she seems a little bit more structured, maybe a little bit uptight, but very different personalities. And considering Molly has maybe not had a serious relationship ever, she said she's never had a relationship. Now there's questions about maybe she did. I mean, is it really advisable to have your first serious relationship be a Netflix marriage? But anyway, Dave continues with the red flags, including he has previously cheated, which, if you remember last season, how that worked out for Steven and Monica, is never a good sign. Oh, and Dave has a sex playlist. Not a custom one for future relationships and past relationships, just one, get him in the mood for whoever he's with. Oh, and he's admitted, and I quote, he's been an ass to women. Casting team, I would like a word with you. What is going on? So, one of the biggest storylines in the pods was the Lauren and Molly feud, if you want to call it that. There was that entire build-up. Oh, I want him to pick me, don't pick her, dump her, blah, blah, blah. And then it ended in them exchanging sweet nothings with Dave and him trying to convince both of them, kind of like Leo from last season with Hannah and Brittany, that they were the one for him. Again, cannot do that. They are eventually going to talk. And oh, by the way, this airs on Netflix. Okay. So anyway, apparently the things that Dave whispered were sweeter to Lauren than they were to Molly. They get engaged, and I gotta say, their relationship doomed. I do not see any scenario where they stay together and get married. The fact that Dave can't grasp that Lauren had a sex life before him when she didn't even know he existed, and he has a sex playlist, a generic sex playlist, okay? Hello. Can we talk about it for a minute? Also, the oversharing. What is the deal with bringing up Lauren's bathroom habits constantly? We get it. She peed. Hydrated queen. Love to see it. And I have so many ends for this man. Why are we discussing with the women just randomly bringing up their sex lives? I cannot fathom, even if production put the bug in his ear to do it, which is very likely to get the ball rolling. Don't do it, Dave. What is wrong with you? Did you not learn your lesson in the pods about how that came off? I will say that he did seem to have a genuine friendship with Virginia, which maybe we didn't see that in the pods. But no matter how comfortable you are with them, it's not like it was a topic of conversation that came up naturally. It was like, so, you banged yet? Bro, inappropriate. I am praying this was the producer's idea and he just said, F it, I don't care. Because otherwise he really has the social awareness of a spoon, and I can't with this man. I will say, I really do love me a good villain. Shout out to Johnny Fairplay. But I'm having a really hard time finding anything about Dave redeeming in his relationship with Lauren. He could be an incredibly nice guy. I often, when I get the chance to talk to any villains from shows, really like them. They are kind, genuine people off camera. And so it's quite possible that I love Dave as a friend and a person. Just not the vibes I'm getting in his relationship with Lauren. And if anybody finds out why he's so pressed about his sister, please at me. Because there's family bonding and then there's whatever the hell is going on there. I don't know, and I do care. Because I get that you want your family and friends to be accepting, and she didn't accept him, I guess, going on the show and believe in the concept of the show. But if he was going to be that influenced by her opinion, he knew she didn't like the show. So why, Dave? Like, you don't need to bring up your sister like she's part of a throuple in the relationship. Make your own decisions. I'm also almost positive on a side note that production can hint to you how much faith they have in a couple or how much they like certain people based on the couple's dates they send them on. Because you can see a lot of the couples got yachts and like fancy romantic dinners, and Dave and Lauren got a dunk tank. Anyway, Sarah and Ben. Back to the yachts. Sarah and Ben are a morally divided couple. They're sailing around Honduras this season instead of Mexico, so that's a nice change of pace for them. They're swooning, but let's talk about the mental gymnastics Sarah did, going from activism and social issues are important to her. Obviously, her sister is gay. She brought that up. And George Floyd protests and his death happening in Minneapolis, where this season is mostly filmed. Talking about those are non-negotiables. Those are important to her. She folded like a house of cards real quick when Ben put a ring on it. And that can't be the last of that discussion. I mean, what a missed opportunity if it is. It would be batshit crazy if that never came up again. But the way this season is going, I just don't know. Normally, they kind of hint at future conflicts and set you up with some foreshadowing, but nothing about this season makes sense. I personally would like to wipe the slate clean with season 8, whatever happened, get rid of that whole crew, start over again, go back to the original format, not 900 hours of pods. I have grown 6 years older since the pods ended, and it's just painful. Why is the biggest drama we have 2 jealous sisters, and yet we're only like an hour into their trip? Can I just say, don't pretend, I see this a lot online. You want 5 happy couples, no conflict, no drama. As much as I like to complain about everybody, part of why we watch this show is drama. Of course, I don't want them to go anything traumatic. I don't want them to be miserable. But you want to see the conflict. That's part of reality TV. And if you say otherwise, you are a liar, liar, pants on fire. I also think, regardless of their fraught moral compatibility, I'll say, it was very cute of Ben to wake up in the middle of the night and write Sarah a love letter. I've still got my eye on him. It is a little weird, him not wanting to take a side in such big issues, especially that must have impacted them directly. I mean, they are right there where everything happened with George Floyd, with the protests after. I cannot imagine he was avoiding that. Like, you had to live under a rock, especially if you lived there. Speaking of rocks, I think our most solid couple are Monica and Joey. While we're talking about jealous sisters, hi there to Dave's sister, I want to catch up with Monica and Joey because they both seem wholesome individually and they're super cute together. They've got this like goofy matching golden retriever energy. Monica was initially concerned that her lack of job would be a deal breaker with Joey, but considering they were engaged by episode 2, we don't see them again until their reveal. And she, even though there's some like comments about his looks and her height, blah, 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 she calls him her Tarzan. He reassures her about her height. It's all super cute and smooth sailing, especially when they're on their honeymoon. I didn't even take any notes for them during that part. And I loved Joey's interaction with Monica's family for the most part. I thought they were so cute. I love the fam jam. That is ridiculous. And I don't know about the communal sock thing. I wouldn't personally do it, but I find it very endearing that that family is just quirky like that. But Monica's sister, she's so green with envy, I thought I had gone colorblind. I mean, not only does she full on drag Joey based on no evidence whatsoever, just sheerly vibes she has that don't exist, she repeatedly points out that she thought she would get married first because she's 5 years older. Baby girl, older does not always mean wiser, and there's no timeline. It's okay that your sister's getting married first. Maybe if you went on Love is Blind, you would be married first. And then you find out that her current man, not engaged or married to, was talking to Monica before he started dating her sister. I don't remember her name. What's her face? So it makes a lot more sense that she's jealous. But my lord, girl, get your stuff together. You are, again, all of these people are on Netflix. They are on camera. You have seen the show by now. I don't care if you don't own a TV. You know you've seen some of it. You've seen clips. You've been on Instagram. Don't tell me you know how people get portrayed and edited. And those words still came out of your mouth. So let's face it. Joey, obviously making the best of it, being the best golden retriever he can, pointed out that she definitely doesn't have the best of intentions for her sister. Maybe, possibly, definitely some jealousy there. I mean, hopefully Monica sits down and gives her what's what, because I cannot. Now, Taylor and Daniel, this is the most ridiculous storyline I've seen in my life. First of all, I've seen many comments, and I totally agree about the men looking very similar. There's like the Dave, Daniel, Mason, Alex, somebody else in there. The Bachelorette called them unseasoned chicken, which I get it, just to give you a visual. So I write for Netflix Life. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. I wrote 3 paragraphs about Taylor and Dave, and she was totally right to run from her stalker before realizing I was mixing up Daniel and Dave. And I definitely owe Daniel an apology. So Taylor and Daniel, I think, are as cute as can be. They finish each other's sandwiches. I mean, I really need to do that. They finish each other's sentences. A little too much frozen on the brain. They have the tattoo thing where Taylor has a Taco Bell tattoo and he said he'd get a Chick-fil-A tattoo. Both love the holidays, and one of the most important things that I feel like is such a good tell is Taylor pointed out, I feel like I'm home when I'm with you, when she was talking to Daniel in the pods. But right before the reveal, she drops, "I hope I don't mess this up," to herself and to the production team. So you know something's coming. And that something was her almost messing it up. So this thing where the producers set her up true crime style in a hotel room interview as she reveals she thinks Daniel followed and unfollowed her on Instagram, and he knows what she looks like, and she has such specific things in her bio, like she loves family. So does everyone. And Taco Bell, literally voted the #1 fast food restaurant in America, and is a nurse. They live near one of the biggest hospitals in the country, and at least 2 other cast members are nurses. So, Taylor, don't self-sabotage, girl. And then she remembers, she says, specifically a picture of him in front of a Christmas tree holding a drink. But the closest thing he's got on his Instagram is him sitting kind of in front of like a Christmas decorated bar, and he's holding a cat. So I feel like you would remember the details of the cat, but I mean, the evidence was just not there. Not guilty, Your Honor. So they sit down and have this dramatic talk, and they both drop a Bueller reference when they're waiting awkwardly for Taylor's phone and to get the Wi-Fi password. Somebody tell me why we had to sit through them waiting for the Wi-Fi password. You have billions of dollars, Netflix, like spring for an extra editor for 2 minutes. So Taylor scrolls and scrolls and scrolls. She's got some app that shows who's followed and unfollowed her, blah, 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 blah. And we sit there and wait, watching her scroll. This isn't real time. This wasn't live. We did not need that. Apologize to that man immediately because you found nothing. So she does, of course, and she seems like a very sweet person. And Daniel, of course, accepts and tells her whatever you want to do. You want to date, you want to go on the trip, you don't want to go on the trip, whatever. I'm behind you. So cute. And she, of course, ends up wanting to go on the trip. So they are so cute. They get to Honduras. They're jamming out to Taylor Swift. And Daniel calls it that favorite part of his vacation, which for it to not be like some spa day or some sort of excursion is super cute. But then they do the meet the families. And I guess since Taylor doesn't have a sister, the mom's going to step into that place and play the difficult one. I get it. Moms can be difficult. Trust me, I get it. So she's not ready to accept Daniel as part of the family, and she's definitely giving those "no one's good enough for my baby girl" vibes. But considering they're the only couple that brought the families together to meet, I have a pretty good feeling about these two. Spoiler alert for all of these, you can allegedly find some information on TMZ, or if you see the marriage records online, I guess those are searchable too. I tried really hard not to be spoiled for the seasons. It's getting harder and harder the longer I do this. But we'll see. They are at the top of my fantasy draft now. Very close to Monica and Joey. And if you do want to see my draft board, I made a really cute one, and you can make one too. I'll do like a little tutorial. It's super easy. You don't even need a tutorial. But you can find it at LovePod Podcast, wherever you social. Follow us on Spotify, YouTube, Apple, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, Threads. That is a wrap until next week. Let's see if any of these episodes are more entertaining. We ride at dawn if they're not. I love you, and I'll see you next week.